On tonight's show, we have motivational speaker Anthony Wright. And now for your host, KoolKard. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Kickin with KoolKard. This is episode 73. I am your host, KoolKard. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in each and every week. If you catch it on the live, I appreciate you. If you catch it on the replay, I appreciate you. It's all love. So, hey, man, I do this for you guys. Can't do it without you. I tell you that every show. Yeah, man, we're here to bring you value. Last week, I had Khalid Freeman. He was a choreographer, a fitness instructor. He's been around the world touring with the off-Broadway show called Stomp. He was in Drumline, Stomp the Yard. He was in the movie. He's doing phenomenal things, man. So you guys go and check that episode out. That was episode 72. Had him on here last week. We had a blast, man. He dropped some real good nuggets for people in the industry trying to do their thing too. So you make sure you check that out, guys. And if this is your first time, I do invite you to subscribe so you can come on back and get some of this value. Tell a friend. Listen, I don't press the issue about subscribing and all that good stuff, but I just do it for you. And if you're loving what you're getting on here, I just want you to continue getting it. So it's all for you guys, all right? But listen, this week, this is special. I've never had a story being told on my show like the story that's going to be told today, all right? Never encountered anybody who's ever went through anything like this. So this is very special. I'm telling you, man, this has been a national story. I got a gentleman by the name of Anthony Wright. He spent not the last, because he's been out for a couple years now, but he was in prison for 25 years, framed, wrongfully convicted. He's here to tell his story. We're here to talk about it and just see where he is now and the good that he's doing for the community and criminal justice reform. It's just a beautiful thing. So I'm gonna bring him in, man. Without further ado, I can't wait to dive in and let him talk his talk. All right, let's get it going, y'all. Kicking with KoolKard. Anthony, welcome, my brother. How you doing today?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No doubt, man. You got a phenomenal story. I'm blessed to be able to share it with my viewers and for you to oblige and come on here and be so open and wanting to share your story. Yeah, man. So thank you.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be here today. What I've been through, and the reason I'm here today on your show. Just to instill hope, and somebody might be going through the same thing. Yeah. It might not be them personally, but it might be a family member. Yeah, just to try to give somebody some type of direction and structure. How to navigate themselves through that. I had a 4-year-old son back then, and a lot of people want to know how I was able to bridge the gap, being in that situation on the inside of my son on the outside. I speak to the younger dads about that a lot, man. I get that question a lot, man. So this is why I do this, man.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. And you spreading the love, and you uplifting communities by your story, man, and it's a beautiful thing. Hey, listen, I start all my shows off with a prayer. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Cool. I gotta give it up to him. Whoever you worship, I know it's a God, so we're gonna give it up to him. All right?
No doubt.
Just real quick. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, we just thank you for this moment, for this time. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, for allowing Anthony to come on here and share his story, Lord Jesus. We know that it's through your grace and through your mercy, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, that he's able to even be here today, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus. We just thank you. We give it up to you. We give it all to you, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus. We thank you for allowing us to wake up this morning, giving us breath, giving us food to eat, shelter, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, and just these moments in time to share with each other, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, and build as a community, as brothers, as people, as human beings, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus. We give you all the victory, all the glory, all the love, all the praise, and we thank you for this moment. In your name we pray. Amen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So listen, you have been a national story. So there are people who know about your story, and some of my viewers may not know about your story. So I'm going to jump around a little bit. I want to know who Anthony Wright was prior to your situation, to your, to your incarceration. Who was that man prior?
Hey, man, I've always been a family man. I come from a big family. I was 20 years old back then. I was a young guy. I was a young father, just trying to find my niche in the world, man. Trying to find my way. Yeah, I mean, provide for my young son. Also help my mother out at that time.
Okay. All right. And then so moving forward, now that you have been exonerated, you're out. How has it been for you? Because it was 2016, August 23rd, 2016, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That was the day. Freedom
That
came.
was the
How
best day
has
of my
it
life.
how has it
After
been readjusting to just being out in society, being back with your family and doing what you're doing?
after the birth of my son, man, that was the second best day of my life, man. It seemed like I was waiting, my whole life for that day. 9,074 days, a quarter of a century, 25 years. That's a
Yeah.
long,
A
long,
long
long
time,
time.
man.
Man, I've grown, physically, my body was held, kidnapped, but mentally my mind was always free.
Okay.
Even though my body was physically, incarcerated, my mind was always free. I always visualized this moment. A lot of people deal with this type of situation differently, and it's crazy because I was just speaking with some members of my team last night, and they were speaking about another exoneree brother of mine who isn't doing so well,
Okay.
like who isn't even a shadow of himself, and I was able to maintain that, by the grace of God first and my family. Each year you in prison, you're away from the community. Each year you in prison, the older you get. Each year you in prison, uh, your family get older. People pass away. Some guys in there so long, their whole family pass away to the point where they no longer have no communication with the outside world. So all their communication be confined to that cell and that box that they stuck in, which have them unable to think outside that box. And like I said, God, man, and my family, man, help get me through that where I wouldn't be stuck in that box. And my mind was always free. So, when it finally happened, 25 years later, it wasn't no shock for me. I was ready. I was prepared for it. The first day felt no different than the last day. I didn't like being there. I didn't want to be there. I shouldn't have been there. And I was happy. I was happy to walk out that door August 23rd, 2016. It was the second best day of my life outside of my son being born.
Man, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. That's like God, that's nobody but God. Cuz a lot of people don't make it through that, man. A lot of people,
Hey,
you know, even people who are guilty, you know what I'm saying? They just don't make it. And
the crazy thing is, you know, I'm a Muslim. I practice Islam, and you know, prior 8 or 9 years prior uh, to me being arrested, I took my shahada. That's when you give your testification of faith. Submit yourself to the will of God verbally. With your tongue. Your actions make you who you are. As a Muslim, and I've never prayed for 8 years. And my mother passed away in 1998. And when your family member passed away, a lot of family run up to the jail to break the news to you and, try to come see you and make sure you are right. And that was the worst day of my life. I was so numb. I was so hollow when that happened
I
in
can imagine.
1998. Like, my family came to see me, and it was as if nobody came to see me. I was sitting there, and I was just numb. I was just a shell, and I needed something more. And when I went back to my cell, I put the curtain up on my door. I put the rug down, and I prayed for the first time, and I felt something I never felt before.
Oh
And I've been
man.
I've been stuck since right there, man. Felt
I,
so good, man. I felt a little bit of relief in a different way, man. And I held grasp hold of that with all my might, man. And I've been there ever since.
so for you not praying for 8 years, had you given up on your faith? What happened?
No, well, absolutely not. I mean, Islam is is a strict religion.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it requires a lot, especially when you're young. Yeah, I mean, you want to do this and do that when you shouldn't be doing that. But
Right.
our goal at the end of the day is to make sure our good deeds outweigh our bad deeds. And
Correct.
for whatever reason, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I mean, even though I said my testification of faith, I wasn't ready to fully commit myself to that.
Right.
That's obvious because I didn't pray. And then, I needed something more. And I put my rug down and I prayed. My mother, the worst thing that was worse than me doing 25 years, losing my mother in that way. My mother was a woman that I was her life. I'm her only child.
Right.
I was her life and vice versa. She was mine. This lady gave her life for me. If I call home 20 times a day, my mother cried for me every single time I called home. And it felt like, at a time when she needed me just for one moment, I couldn't be there for her. And I gotta live with that for the rest. I live my life with no regrets, but I'm haunted by that fact every day. I think about my mother every day. I miss her so much. I visit her grave site often. Me, my son, and a few family members. Vicariously, she'll always live through all of us. Every day until we're together again. I miss her so much, man.
Well, your God pulled you through that because you weren't there, not because you didn't want to be there. You know what I'm saying? Your heart, your mind, your soul, everything was there with her. It's just you weren't there physically because somebody didn't allow you to be there physically,
Right.
So,
and that's where a lot of my strength came from, man. It was the hardest thing I ever had to endure. Being incarcerated for a crime I didn't commit, and this didn't happen for a month, for a day, for a year, 2 years, 3 years. This happened for 25 years. That's a long time.
That's a long time, man.
And so many days, man, I wanted to get up and quit, man. And my mother face a pop in my mind, man. Yeah, I mean, I felt like, it would have been a disservice to her, disservice to my son. And not only that, I'm the 344th person to be wrongfully convicted of a crime that it did not commit. I'm the 344th person. And that was just a little over 4 years ago.
Right.
At the time of my acquittal, exoneration, and release from prison. That number now is way over 500. And I felt like it would have been a disservice to all the men and women that was in the same position as I and never made it.
Yeah.
And never made it. I instill so much hope in so many people that's still behind the wall. Even the men that committed a crime, I still so much hope in them. And my message every day, especially to the younger people, the younger kids out in the world, you don't necessarily have to be, and you don't necessarily have to be in prison. To always believe in yourself and never give up. Always believe in yourself. That's my message, each and every day. That's my mission. That's my aim. To never give up.
Because when you're going through something, it can seem like a lifetime, but when you come out on that other side, man, it's so victorious and you're overjoyed, and God just takes over the whole situation to where it's like you never, you don't forget it, but it's like it never even happened now because you're moving on. You know what I'm saying? You put one foot in front of the other and you're moving on.
Yeah.
But when
it's
you're
the
there,
best. It's the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best feeling in the world, man. And you said it, man. The victory is God's, man. That's all His, man. I'm a vessel of His, and He can use me any way He chose. And I hope what happened to me don't go in vain. And I mean,
right.
When I say that, I mean I hope I went through that. Because somebody else, wasn't strong as me, able to go through that, and He chose me.
Yes.
For whatever reason. That 25 years today, it don't consume 1 minute, 1 second, 1 hour of my life.
Yeah.
Unless I'm talking about it, man. I'm alive. I'm healthy.
Yep.
I'm back with my family. I'm good, man. My life is great. My life is great,
Absolutely.
man.
And
Yeah.
you can look at it this way too. Your situation, it can be a beacon and a light for others who are going through the same or similar situation, and it could be a engine for change within that criminal justice system. Because at some point, but it's the numbers, they're gonna start adding up, and it has to stop. It has to stop, man. Like when does it stop? So it's like with you getting out and you beating it and God just being the glory, like it has to. It's like one chip off that block, and then there's another chip as somebody else gets exonerated. You know what I mean? Like you're being effective in so many ways. You know what I mean? Like it's just, man, it's amazing, brother.
As that's why I do this. That's why I do these type of engagements, and it's crazy. The first time I met my senior staff, one of my senior staff attorneys from the Innocence Project, first time she ever physically came and saw me, she said, "Listen, we're gonna bring you home. You coming home? We gonna bring you home." When you in that situation, you hope the inevitable don't happen to you 2 times. Meaning, I was sentenced to life. Yeah, I mean, that mean the only way I was gonna come out of there is in a box if I was dead.
Right.
And my case was a capital case. I just missed the death penalty by 2 votes. In order for you to get death, everybody had to say yes one way.
Right.
And two people held out and said no, so it made my sentence automatically go to a life sentence.
Yeah.
And one of my senior staff attorneys, when I first met her, she said, "We're gonna bring you home." And then in the same breath, she looked at me and said, "They're gonna love you when we finish." And I looked at her like I was crazy, like she was crazy. I mean, I'm in prison for one of the most heinous crimes any human being could commit against another human being.
Right.
We talking about a 77-year-old widow. She was murdered. Miss Louise Tyler. This lady was brutally murdered. Not only that, she was also sexually assaulted. And my lawyer said that to me, and I'm looking at her like, these guys hate me. I'm innocent. Like, everybody in prison say they innocent.
Yeah.
Literally, everybody in prison say they innocent. And I never knew what she meant when she said they're gonna love you when we done, until 16 years after the fact, after I came home. My case was so big, it actually exposed all the corruption that was going on in the judicial system in Pennsylvania. Because of my case and what we did, the door we opened, thousands of people came home right after me, because everybody that was involved in my case, all the cops was corrupt. All these cops was on thousands and thousands of cases before mine and after mine, which allowed all these men and women to get right back in court after, show all the corruption that was going on in the city of Philadelphia.
And you worked with, it's called the Project Innocence or Innocence Project?
It's called the Innocence Project. It's a non-profit organization. The co-founders are 2 men by the name of Mr. Barry Shep and Mr. Peter Neufeld.
Okay.
The masses, people in the world might recognize those names. Those 2 guys, they was also involved in the O.J. Simpson case. Okay. Many, many years ago. And they are the 2 men that are responsible for bringing DNA, the scientific evidence, this way to the masses of the world. I mean, DNA existed as long as it was the first human being or animal on Earth. But as far as scientifically bringing it to the masses of the world, these 2 guys are responsible for that. And they saved my life, man. I love both of them dearly. I tell them all the time, I feel like I'm be forever in debt to you guys, not only me, so many men and women, man. If it wasn't for you guys, we'd still be stuck in that prison, man. You know what I mean?
You said 16 years. You worked with them for 16 years?
Yeah, for 16 years, man. And
my God.
And that's something that normally doesn't happen. And it's so when you become a client of Innocence Project. So let me tell you this. So when I was arrested, it was one Innocence Project in America, and that was in New York City. So when this Innocence Project came into existence, somehow, some way, I was able to get my hand on that address. So when I was convicted in 1993, this case happened in 1991. I sat in the county for 2 years waiting to go to trial.
Wow.
So 2 years later, in 1993, when I was convicted and I went upstate, I started a routine, and the routine I started was I will send 10 letters out every week. I will go to the law library inside the institution and find any legal institution I can find and research to find any legal institution I can find. And I will send 10 letters out to every legal institution I can find, whether it was a university, a college campus, whether it was a law firm, any place that had a law professor, I've sent a correspondent to. I wanted people just to read my notes. Yeah, I mean, and I just wanted to see what they thought. And something happened that almost never happened. Every correspondence I sent out, I got a correspondent back. So the first 10 letters I sent out, the Innocence Project was one of the people that I sent a correspondence to. I got 9 correspondents back, and I didn't get one. And the one that I get back was from the Innocence Project. And everybody that corresponded back with me, pointed me, wanted to help me, but my case was so far out of their jurisdiction that everybody kept pointing me in the direction of the Innocence Project. And I said, wow, that's crazy. I wrote them first, and I heard back from everybody I sent the correspondence to. Why I'm not hearing back from the Innocence Project? So I continued sending 10 letters out every week. That was my routine.
Yeah.
Every week. And every time I sent the letters out, everybody wanted to get involved in my case. It was so far from jurisdiction. Once again, every time I sent a correspondence out, everybody pointed me in a direction of the Innocence Project. And it was driving me crazy. I'm like, wow. Why am I hearing back from everybody and not the people that everybody directed me to? And I sent them the first correspondence. So I finally heard back from them probably 7 or 8 months later. So they sent me a big questionnaire to fill out. And it was a questionnaire with like 1 million questions on it. And I filled it out to the best of my ability, sent it back to them, and I continued sending letters out every week. Every week. I never stopped sending letters out. Never stopped sending letters out. For years I did that. And once again, everybody kept pointing me in the direction of the Innocence Project. And then probably 4 or 5 months later, I get another correspondence from the Innocence Project. This time they was asking me to send them some of my legal documents. So I did what they said, and I continued sending letters out to everybody I could find. Once again, everybody kept pointing me in a direction to the Innocence Project. That went on for over 2 years. And finally, the day I was waiting for happened. The letter I was waiting for seemed like I was waiting for all my life. But the day the Innocence Project wrote me a correspondence and said that they was accepting my case.
They take a case, yeah.
So what they was doing, which I didn't know, they was doing their due diligence. Research. Yeah, they was doing their due diligence on my case. Every time they correspond with me, ask for a piece of legal document until they did enough where they knew that I was wrongfully in prison.
Yeah.
And Innocence Project is a project, is a nonprofit organization of men and women that help to free people that was wrongly accused and convicted of a crime through DNA technology. And they accepted my case, and we started working, and immediately we applied for DNA testing. So Philadelphia was a place didn't allow DNA testing.
I was gonna ask you that. Why did it take so long for them to do DNA testing? But you just
Philadelphia is one of the most corrupt places in America. And let me tell you this: when I first was arrested, DNA was in it. DNA testing was in its infancy stage. Even though it was in its infancy stage, it was still at a point where it could have got a profile, where it could have said, yes, it was Anthony Wright that committed this crime.
Yeah.
Yes, it was you who committed this crime. Let me tell you something about DNA. DNA is the best evidence in the world. DNA don't need no witnesses. DNA says two things. It says yes and it says no. It says guilty or it says not guilty. There's no in between in DNA. And if you committed a crime, there's no way for you to get away from that crime if your DNA was involved in that crime. You know what I mean? It's just no way for you to get away. And back then, it was in its infancy stage. We talking about fast forward 20, 10, 15, and 20 years later. DNA now is a million times better than it was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. It's the best evidence in the world. And if you sure I'm the guy that committed this crime, why you deny me this test?
Yeah.
I was willing to consent to any test they wanted to do to prove that they had the wrong guy. I wasn't the perpetrator of this crime. So we litigated for 8 to 9 years, and the courts kept denying us. And then Philadelphia being so corrupt, and we had a new DA, and just so happened I was having a hearing. I was having a court hearing, and my lawyers ran into the new DA, which was named Seth Williams. You know what I mean? He went to jail right after me, by the way. Right after I was released, he went to jail. So my lawyers stopped them and introduced themselves. They said, you know, we from the Innocence Project. Our client is Anthony Wright. He said, I'm familiar with that case. You know what I mean? What y'all doing? He said, we just had a hearing. He said, well, let's see what the results is from the hearing. And they denied me. And out of nowhere, he called my lawyer's office and said, I mean, let's sit down and talk and figure out, I mean, you know, this test situation.
Right.
So he agreed to do the test. Lo and behold, you know, I was convicted over 20 years. They could have got rid of the clothes and all, disposed of clothes and all that. So we was able to get a search warrant to see if they still had the clothes. Praise be to God, they still had the clothes in a locker. Yeah, I mean,
wow.
They were at all these years later. They still had the clothes, and we were able to get the clothes and do a DNA test. They agreed to the DNA test, which was another one of the happiest days of my life, man. I remember getting a phone call, and my lawyer said, we got the test. I almost passed out. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy, and I ran to the place in the institution where they wanted to do the test at that had me swabbed.
Yeah.
And fast as they took the swab out my mouth, I got another call in the institution. I'm in the yard exercising one day. I'm running the yard. And one of the ladies that was my counselor there in civilian clothes, she ran in the middle of the yard. Everybody's looking at her like, what is this Joe's doing out here? And she was in the middle of the yard jumping up like a pogo stick, because at this time my case had picked up so much steam. Everybody in the institution knew what was going on. So I was doing calls with my lawyer and them through my counselors on a regular. So everybody, and then, you know, they was reading stuff in the paper and on the news, everybody in the institution. And this lady, she was waving for me, and they called me Bolo. They said, Bolo, Miss Jost wants you. And I said, what's going on? She said, you got to come in quick. It's an emergency. The lawyer wants you. I ran in, and my lawyer said, yo, you sit down? I said, what's going on? And they said, Tony, we got a hit. And I said, what do you mean we got a hit? What's a hit? She said, we got the cocksucker that committed the crime. And I said, you got to be kidding. So when you convicted of a crime.
So wait. You said they got the guy who did the crime?
Yeah, so.
Wow.
So after I took the DNA test, so when you're arrested and you convicted of a felony crime, you won't go home unless you voluntarily give up your DNA. So they take all convicted felon DNA and store it in a database. So after they swabbed me, they got a hit from the database on somebody's DNA that matched the DNA of the person had to be the perpetrator of the crime. So, and I said, what? So they said, yeah, he's in South Carolina. They said, we loading up now. All my lawyers and all investigators was getting on a plane, heading to where they found this location of the guy to be at, which was in South Carolina. And when they get there, they knock on a door. And they said, yes, we're here looking for Ronnie Bird. Whoever has a door, they said, Ronnie Bird ain't here. Furthermore, who's all you white people standing on my step in suits looking for Ronnie? So when they told him who they were, he said, y'all better hurry up. He's in the hospital about to die. This guy was in a coma.
What?
So when they get to the hospital, he's literally in a coma, dead. And he never came out the coma. And before he can be questioned or anything, he passed. He died. He died. So we was able to bring that to court, and it's crazy. And these type of cases, the first person that should be questioned is always the last person to be questioned. This guy's name for 25 years was never mentioned or nothing. Out of all the hundreds of people that was questioned and made statements, this guy was the only guy never mentioned, and he was the first guy to be mentioned. This guy squatted right next to the lady's house, and he was a crackhead. And when we went to court, everybody in court, all the witnesses knew him. So when this crime happened and the police was doing their investigation, they grabbed a bunch of young kids off the corner that was 14 and 15 years old and made these kids come in and sign a statement saying it was me, saying that they actually saw me running this lady house and all that. And they also grabbed some crackheads who had outstanding bench warrants.
Who would say anything.
Told them if they come in and say what they wanted them to say and sign these statements, the bench warrants will go away. They no longer have to worry about that. And everybody came in and did exactly what the police said. And fast forward 25 years later, all those same people, those kids that were 14 and 15, came to court and told the truth. They said, man, we don't know that man. We never saw that man. We only did that because the police said if we didn't sign these statements, we'll never see our parents again. They'll kill our mom. We'll be in prison for the rest of our life. And a lot of the crackheads had passed away.
Yeah.
And then this guy passed away. And we even found this guy's daughter in South Carolina. Her mother was murdered when she was an infant baby. And she grew up all her life believing that her father was the man that killed her mother as well. The guy, Ronnie Bird, the guy who committed this crime that I was in prison for 25 years for.
He did it.
He did it.
Wow.
He did it.
So let's go back to, are you comfortable talking about the day it happened?
I'm good, bro.
So let's relive that a little, just for the viewers that don't know the story. Can you kind of relive that day that it happened when they ran down on you with your son in there and?
It was insane. It was crazy. I'm a huge sports fan, man. I grew up in the main streets of North Philadelphia. It's the worst part of the city, man. And as a child growing up, I played every sport: basketball, baseball, boxing, and football was my best sport. So it was early Sunday afternoon. I was in the house staying with my mother at the time. It was me, my mother, and my son was there. And also the young lady that I was dealing with at the time was there with my mother. So I was upstairs sleeping, and my mother came up and woke me up. Her and my girlfriend were downstairs cooking brunch, and the game was about to come on. It was early Sunday afternoon, and I came downstairs and laid right across the couch. And my son was 4 years old. He was on the floor right beneath the couch playing with his toys. And almost simultaneously, the phone rang and a knock at the door at the same time. I'm laying on the couch and the phone was right above my head. I just reached my arm for the phone, and my mother ran in from out the kitchen to answer the door. And when I answered the phone, it was my son's grandfather on the phone. And he said, the police just left our house looking for you. And I looked up at my mother, and she turned around and looked back at me. She had pulled the curtain back, and I said, what's wrong? She said, it's the police. I said, open the door. I didn't do anything wrong. Right. Open the door. So when she opened the door, the police walked in, and I told my son's grandfather on the phone, I said, well, the police just walked in our house. I'll call you back as soon as they leave. Let me see what they want. They wanted to ask me some questions. When my mother opened the door, and they said they wanted to ask me some questions, my mother went ballistic. I asked him questions about what? He didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I said, Mom, relax. Everything's fine. I didn't do anything. And so they didn't want to ask me no questions there at the house. They wanted me to accompany them to the police administration building downtown Philadelphia. It's called the Roundhouse. Anybody from Philadelphia know what the Roundhouse is and know what that means. And I said, okay. They allowed me to go upstairs, get fire shorts on, and get fully dressed. I went upstairs, got fully dressed. I come back downstairs, and they escorted me outside to the car. Put me in a car in the back seat. A detective got in the back with me. And a detective that was driving got in the driver's seat and drove off. And, on our way down there, they was making small talk and, laughing, and again, I'm sitting there in the back seat trying to figure out what do these guys want with me? Why am I here?
Right.
Why I'm sitting in the back of a detective car? Why I'm on my way to the roundhouse? That was the only thing I was thinking about. Why would they want to come talk to me? And then once we got there, things took a turn for the worse. Things, got a little crazy down there. So when I got there, they put me in this room. They handcuffed one of my hands. I was sitting at a table, with a chair in front of it. They handcuffed my left hand to the chair, and then they came in and said that why you're here. They said they knew I committed this crime. They said they had witnesses and evidence to back up that I'm the person that committed this crime. And I said, I didn't commit no crime. I don't know what you guys talking about. From the time they said this crime happened until the time they arrived at my mom's house, I told them exactly where I was at and what I was doing at that exact time. I repeated the same thing over and over again for hours, to the point I was in there crying like a baby. I was 20 years, I was in there crying like a baby, literally for my mother. I wanted my mother. I was scared to death. You talking about murder in the first degree? I was 20 years old, and I didn't know nothing about nothing. I didn't have anything to do with anything. I was literally in there crying like a baby for my mother, and I was in there for hours repeating the same thing. And they ripped my hat off, said what they was going to do to me. I was so scared, man. I feared for my life. And then, one of the detectives brought these papers in for me to sign. And when he brought the papers in and placed them in front of me, I'm handcuffed and I'm looking over and I'm trying to read what's on the papers, and they wouldn't allow me to read what was on the papers. He covered it up except for where he wanted me to put my signature and my initials at. And, I feared for my life. And I did, they told me if I signed the papers, I can go home. And at this time, I was in the earshot. I could hear my mother out there screaming for me. Like, what's going on? Where my son at? And they told me if I sign these papers, I can leave. I signed the papers, and they said I just confessed to the crime.
Wow.
I signed those papers, and they said I had just confessed to the crime.
Wow.
Yeah, so, the terminology, we use today because as a culture, when somebody pulling a joke on you, we call it being pranked.
Right.
I was waiting for somebody to come in and tell me I was being pranked. That never happened, man. They said I just confessed to this crime, man, and I was like, what are you talking about?
I was gonna ask you, man. You're completely innocent. Like, there's no in no shape, form, or fashion am I saying that you had guilt or you were in, you know what I mean? But this question I wanted to ask you, like, thinking back, and for somebody who may be in this situation or somebody who may ever be faced with this situation, just thinking back, would you say that was the one thing that you probably could have done differently that could have helped your case or made matters turn out differently? Do you feel like that? Do you feel like if you would have just not signed that, then maybe something else could have happened, or you could have held it off some and maybe gotten a lawyer in there? Like, have you ever thought about that?
Well, absolutely. Well, let me say this to you. Listen at this number. 85% of the men and women, the population that's in the county jail. That's when you first get arrested off the street. Not when you're convicted. 85% of the men and women, when we are first arrested, including myself, we don't know our constitutional rights. Had I known my constitutional rights, I wouldn't have been in that position in the first place.
Yeah.
I would have never been in that position. Yo, that's insane. 85% of the men and women when they first arrested we didn't know our constitutional rights. Had I known my constitutional rights, I would have never been in that position in the first place. They would have never got that far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You probably would have never gotten in the car.
Yeah, they would have had to have a search warrant to take me from my home.
Right.
And not only that, I would have definitely had my attorney present at the time. And right after they took me from my home, they went back to my mother's house, knocked on the door. When she opened the door, flashed the paper in her face and barged through her house. Where's room at? And went in the house and planted the clothes that they said the perpetrator wore, which was me, under the bed. And said, yeah, we found the clothes under his bed.
Wow.
They planted the clothes with blood stains and all, with none of my DNA on it. Only DNA on it was the victim and this guy. None of Anthony Wright DNA was on these clothes. That they went in my mother's house and planted the clothes under my mattress.
Man, that's insane, brother.
Yeah.
That's insane, man. And then think about, and like you said, your DNA was nowhere on them clothes, and it took them how many years? What, 2011? They granted you DNA test?
But 2011, and the crazy thing about this whole situation, Philadelphia being one of the most corrupt places in the world. So they knew they was in trouble then when the DNA came back. So after 23 years, they finally decided to bring me back to court for the first time after I was convicted. In 2014, they brought me back to court and vacated my whole entire sentence, meaning they took my life sentence away. They took the 4 to 10 years away. They took all the sentence I had and was convicted of. They took all that away. But right after they took it away, they revoked my bail and held me for additional 2 years to retry me. I'm the first person that ever been retried, ever.
Even when the DNA said that you were clearly innocent.
Even when the DNA said, even when the DNA clearly said I'm innocent, they retried me, held me for 2 more years, and then retried me.
When you found out about you being retried, what was going through your mind at that point?
Nothing, man. I had a moment, man. It's just some stuff. As a human being, you're never able to grab and wrap your brain around it. And dealing with them, this judicial system in Pennsylvania, that happened to me quite a bit, being in that situation. I knew it was over. I mean, I knew it was over. I just wanted my day.
Yeah.
I wanted my day, and unlike the 23 years prior, the 25 years prior, I felt so secure. I felt so protected by my team. By my team, my legal team, that I was able to assemble from inside that prison. I knew these men and women had my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
I just wanted this day, and I knew what was ever in the dark was definitely going to come to the light. I was just waiting on this moment, man, and I believe the whole world knew it was over. I had so many people encouraging me. I mean, every inmate in the county jail. They brought me back to the county jail for 2 years. Every guard, everybody, everywhere I went, everybody was encouraging me, man. Keep your head up. Yeah, I mean, you at the finish line is almost over. And even more, my son, man. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
my son, the two of us, we never smiled so much through that whole ordeal.
Yeah.
That last 2 years, we probably smiled, every day, because we knew the time was near.
It was near.
And when we was at the finish line, but we was at the finish line, but the door wasn't open yet. It was just a matter of time. So we was just waiting for, that door to open, but to have our day. And I was acquitted in the quickest verdict in any criminal trial. When the judge gave the case to the jury, the foreman said, "You want us to deliver weight? What, Your Honor? Are you serious?" So it's crazy. So they bought all this food for the jurors for lunch, and they used that. They didn't want to throw the food away, and they almost made the jurors go back there and eat that lunch. And so during that time, they said the jurors was back there delivering, but the jurors didn't even want to deliver, and the jurors refused to leave the courtroom. It's never happened.
Yeah.
Every jury member refused to leave the courtroom. They wanted to see me. They wanted to hug me. They wanted to talk to me. And the judge refused to even release me after I was exonerated. He made them shackle me and handcuff me one more time and take me back to jail until my lawyers and my family go get me from jail.
Are you serious?
Absolutely serious.
Bro, they were relentless.
And all the jurors came back, And all the jurors came back the next day and filled my attorney's office up to come see me. It's never happened before.
That's love, man. That's love. You were finally free. You were finally free. And you got a documentary coming out, right? Called Finally Free.
That's the short documentary that I have on YouTube right now. Featuring myself and my son. It's called Tony Wright Finally Free. But I have my first biography. My first book is about to come out any day now. It's called The Tony Wright Story. It's called Live to Tell. But I'm shooting a documentary right now. That's why I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm shooting a documentary. We don't have a name for it. So we sat down, me and the directors of this film. We shooting about my life. We sat down, about a year ago to put this film together. We had a vision, and where we at today, this film has passed everything that we imagined. This film is so huge right now. Everybody's involved. This film get a new pair of legs every day, man. So many people involved. It's going to be so good. It's not just about me. Like I said before, I'm a 344 exoneree. That means it was 343 people.
Shedding light on everybody.
So everybody. And plus exoneree, we have a brotherhood. You know what I mean? So we are brothers. I'm a brother to so many men and so many women that was in this situation as we have galas and where we all get together a couple times a year and meet. Every year we embark on a different city. So because of the pandemic, we were supposed to be in Chicago last year, but that was canceled, and we all looking forward to the next gala. I miss my brothers and my sisters, man. I can't wait to see everybody and all my attorneys as well, man.
Well, I got a clip of your short documentary that's on YouTube. I want to play it for everybody. Let them get them a look good. I got about 3.5 minutes of it, so we'll get into that, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about your son and football and that getting you through, because I want to dive into that just a little bit more. And
let's do it.
All right, y'all. This is Finally Free, the short doc. He has a longer version coming out. He's working on that right now. Like you said, we'll check this out, y'all. All right. So got a little glimpse of your story, diving a little deeper into that, a couple visuals. Now, you said that you got involved in the football league in the prison. Your son came to see you all the time, and that was your hope. That's what kept you drive. That's what kept you motivated. That's what just kept you sane. That was basically like your connection with the outside world, right? That's what got you through.
No
So,
doubt.
with all that said, when the lights go out at night and you're in that cell by yourself and your mind can get to wandering to unknown places or places you don't want it to go, what were you able to do then to sustain what you would experience during the day that would keep you there? Because at night when you're alone and you're alone and you're feeling lonely and you start to think, you could go places. How were you able to manage that?
Discipline, man. I mean, discipline, man. I mean, my head was always in the right place. When I tell you that, man, and I used to cry myself to sleep at night sometimes, man, because I wanted to get to my baby so bad, man. Like I miss my son so much, man. And he, he used to have a stoic look on his face all the time. And and I pose a question to people, men in jail with life sentence, you see them smile all the time when they should be crying. And I never understood that. And I pose a question all the time. Why are you in this situation and you able to smile and laugh and joke like it's nothing and it hurts somebody else more than it hurts you? Yeah, man. And I used to have a smile on my face, every time I would see my son or my mother. I wanted to try to ease what they was feeling. That was my mission and my aim, and tried to figure out every day why was I there. I couldn't wrap my head around it, and I used to pray, and I used to say a prayer, and at the end of my prayer, it's called a dua. I used to ask God, if this what you have for me, send me a sign, please. And I never got that sign, and I fought hard and fought every day, man. I hope tomorrow will be better than today, man. And that's how I live my life every day, man. No matter what, man. My mission, my aim was to get back. My son's 33 years old. Two things will always be the same for the rest of our life. I'll always be a father. He'll always be my son. And he needs me, man. Like 33, man, like it's I can't even put it in the words. I'm with my son now. I can't put it in the words, but it's like, to go with my son house. My son come to my house, and nobody tell me he got to leave or visit over or
Yeah.
get on a plane and take a trip with my son, my father. It's insane, man. Like it's the best feeling in the world. Like you can't describe it. You can't describe it. My son revert back to sometimes this 4-year-old boy when we're alone. He yearned for this all his life.
Yeah.
And you can see that, man. Without him, you don't even have to say a word. That's my son. I know what he feels. I know what he's thinking. And as a father, man, it feels so good, man. It feels so good to be able to share these type of moments with him. This is what I fought for. This is what I got up every day for. To keep on fighting and fighting,
Yeah.
man. And I wasn't gonna stop until I made it, man.
And it's
And,
good.
and,
It's
yeah.
good that he was there with you every step of the way too, because a lot of fathers don't get that opportunity. Whatever circumstance it may be, maybe the mother holds them back. They don't want the son to see you in that situation, or but it's just a blessing that he was there every step of the way to give you that hope, man, and just keep fighting for something. You know what I mean? Other than
A lot of
yourself.
a lot of people don't understand, man. When you're a father and you have a son and you're in the situation that I was in, 9 times out of 10, the boy tend to go the other way, away from his father. The boy tend to go to the street, and the daughter will gravitate more to the father. With the boy, and man, again, man, we give all the glory and praise to God, man. Yeah, I mean, you know, for guiding us and being at the head of our life and every day, man, and I did my best to do whatever I can to bridge that gap, to keep his attention. And I had so much help, man. My brother, yeah, I mean, Darnell Fisher, he was the majority of the help that helped me bridge that gap. Yeah, I mean, with my son, especially after my mother passed. My mother was there every weekend with my son. Every time I had a visit, my mother was there with my son before she passed away. And then right after my mother passed away, my brother stepped in. I was like, bro, I got it, no worries. And he used to always tell me, I got your son, don't worry about it. You just focus and do what you need to do to come out of there. Yeah, I mean, let me worry about what's going on out here. And your son, and true to his word, I was able to sleep with a little bit of comfortability at night, knowing that my son was good. Yeah, I mean, he was taken care of, didn't need anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I was able to sleep at night.
Man, that's a blessing. That's a blessing, man. Now you're on the other side of it now, and I see you have this give back campaign that you got going on. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you're touching the community?
Nah, so many people help me, man. Like, you know, so many people help me, man. I wouldn't be here now, man. God first again, man. And his vessel through so many men and women helped me, man. And first and foremost, the city where I'm from, Philadelphia. Everybody embraced me with open arms down there, man. I never saw that coming. I never even imagined that. People that didn't know me, people knew me. Everybody, welcomed me back home with open arms and embraced me, man. And I mean, how can you pay it forward, man? How can you thank somebody for what they did for me? How can you thank somebody? I call my legal team my guardian angel here in the physical form in this world, man. They saved my life. How can you
Absolutely.
thank them? Every time somebody mention my name or my name come up in a conversation that any one of those men or women in, I want them to have the biggest smile on their face and be glad that they fought that good fight for me, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I want to make them proud. You know what I mean? And every time they hear my name, man, and I just try to pay it forward, man. I think that's my. I feel like it's an obligation of mine for the rest of my life, man. Yeah, I mean, to help any and everybody that I could, man. I can't save the world, man. I just try to do my part, man.
Yeah.
And we talk about America. Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be the land of everything, man. And come home and it's mind boggling. All the men and women that you see that don't have nothing or nobody that are homeless in the middle of the streets, man. And that breaks my heart. It literally breaks my heart, man. And I stop every time I see one of those people, man, and empty my pockets out, man. Yeah, I mean, I just try to get a blessing, man, by helping somebody else, man. And that's why I do it, man. And it's the best feeling in the world, man, when you give it back, man. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're able to bring somebody else some joy. I mean, when you ever to bring somebody else some joy, man.
That's what we're
I
here
mean,
for.
yeah, it's an amazing feeling, man.
That's
The
what
best
we're here
feeling in the
for.
world. Best
I
feeling
I
in the world.
I would want to think that you being selfless and fighting to be free for your family, for your son, is I'm pretty sure a lot of the fuel kept you going because it wasn't about you. It wasn't about just you. You weren't sitting there having a pity party about woe is me, why me. You know what I mean? The focus wasn't on you. It was
Hey, man,
on your family. It was on the loved ones. It was on how you could make a difference when you do get out of there and get free.
For sure, man. My family is my life.
Yeah.
My family, I'm nothing without them, man. I love my family. So I come from a big family. We do everything together. I mean, everything together. My grandmother, 96 years old, who's the oldest person to the youngest person. My cousin just turned one. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, we celebrate everything together. We do everything together as a family, man. I love my family and even more, man. My own family, which is
yeah.
my son and my grandkids. It's my life. It's not about me. It's about them, man. Yeah, man. I live my life today. Yeah, I mean, just to make sure nobody else, those three people are good.
They're good. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and we're talking about the giving back. I wanted to ask you, is there any brothers that you keep in touch with in the prison system, or anybody that you came across in there that you knew without a shadow of a doubt that they were innocent just like you, fighting for their life to get out of there?
Absolutely, man. I have two phones. I take over 30 jail calls a day. I take over 30 jail calls a day. And
I-
because of this pandemic, we aren't able to physically go see these guys. Everything is virtual. The guards and everybody think I'm crazy. As soon as I walk out the front door, I walk back through the front door. But as a visitor, I mean,
yeah,
I'll never leave none of my comrades behind. I, to an extent, those guys become your family. I was
right.
there 25 years, man. Yeah, I mean, I laughed with those guys. I cried with those guys. My mother died, and when I couldn't even shed a tear, I promise you, every man in the jail cried for me and my mother, man. Everybody knew my mother, all the guys by her coming up every day. Those guys are my brothers, man, and I'm those guys' hope, man. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of those guys know me, man, and I look out for a lot of those guys. Yeah, I mean, I make sure they got money on their books to go to commissary. I go check on their moms, go check on their kids. Yeah, I mean, and all that stuff, man. Yeah, I mean, so those guys are my brothers, man. I'll never leave none of my brothers behind or my sisters. I'll never do it. I'll never do that.
man, yeah, man. You're doing God's work, brother. You're doing
I
God's work.
appreciate it.
God worked for you. You working for Him, and you're doing His work. And and people, they need you. They need you.
That's what, and I accept that responsibility wholeheartedly, man. Like I said, you know, I don't feel like it's something. I feel like, everything I'm doing is an obligation.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I need to do it. I mean, somebody gave me hope. Somebody before me gave me hope, man. And I'm trying to do that now to the men that's still there, man.
right.
Many people help me, man. I'm just paying it forward, man. My mother always told me, yeah, I mean, you can tell what type of person he is by looking at his feet. Not what he got on his feet, but who he walked with. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
always walk with guys that just like me, man. Yeah, I mean, I had a guy that, I mean, that's a friend of mine that became a brother through that 25 years. He was with me every step of the way, man. Yeah, I mean, for 25 years, I mean, financially, I didn't want or need for nothing. He took care of all that for me, man, for
wow,
25 years, and even my son, man. And again, how can you thank somebody for doing something you can't, man? Just
right.
pay it forward, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm doing the same thing he did, just for, a lot more people. That's all.
right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, we good.
So let's take it to release day, man. Let's be jubilant about this. How, give me a timeline of what release day was like and how much joy it brought to you and everything that you did that day.
Oh my God, man. We won in court, man. We won in court. And I told you a little while ago, the judge refused to let me walk out with my family. He made them shackle me up. But I'm glad he did that, man. It was one of the best moments that I'll never forget. And one of my lawyers also, he said it was the best moment of his life, just witnessing it. So, you know, they shackled me up and put me back on a bus. And before we got there, all the guards ran out. They knew what just happened. Yeah, I mean, they must have called and said, yo, we bringing them back right now. And they ran out. I was like, take him off the bus, get him off. And all the guards knew me. They
Yeah.
took my shackles off, snapped me off the bus, and they were so happy for me, man. They were so happy for me. But when I got back inside the institution, after I took off my civilian clothes, my suit I had on the court, I got on the elevator, put my prison clothes back on, got on the elevator, and I went up to the cell block. And once I got to the cell block, so first, let me take you back. So when the verdict came in, all the guards was listening to it in the jail. And they said, yo, they got a verdict. And they locked the whole jail down, the whole institution. They locked all the inmates in their cell. And when the verdict came in, they said the institution went crazy. All the guards opened the door. They said he won. They felt they not guilty. So when I got there and I got off the elevator, and once I got where they could get a visual on me, once I got where they can get a visual on me, I mean the whole place erupted, man. They were so happy. They were so happy for me. You know, all the inmates, all the guards. And I went in and I got right on the phone. I called my son. And I said, yo, where y'all at? He said, Dad, we on our way. Everybody. I said, who's everybody? He said, everybody. Everybody's on their way to the jail. So I said, come visit me. He said, I can visit you. I said, yeah, I'm still in there. You know what I mean? The paperwork gonna take a while. And lo and behold, I went upstairs, took my clothes off to get in the shower, and the guard said, Bono. Right after I took my clothes off, she said, it's over. Yeah, I mean, you released, you out it. And the jail went crazy again. And then, you know, they walked me down. And when they walked me down, outside for the first time, when they opened the door as a free man, I actually peeked out. I was scared to walk out the door. I put my head out. And the guards were like, oh my God, come on. So they took me out front where all the visitors be at. They said my family and all my lawyers is on their way. And they put me in this room because it was so commotion. Everybody knew what just happened. All the visitors, everybody was looking at me. It was like 1,000 reporters out there. But they waited till my family come, and you know, my family came in, and they put us in a room. We all hugged, cried, and laughed, and we all walked out together. It's a iconic picture where you see me walking with all my lawyers, and we all got our hands up. Yeah, I mean, for victory and all the cameras. And we went to a restaurant. You know, my lawyer bought the whole restaurant out, and we celebrated all night, me, my family, and all my legal team.
Oh, that's so dope, man. What was the first thing you ate?
Cheesecake, man. That's my favorite thing to eat. So the restaurant was looking at it on the news, and when we got there, they had 10 different cheesecakes already laid out on the table for me. Yeah, I mean, we had a ball, cheesecake and pop. Spaghetti is my favorite thing to eat. Spaghetti and meatball. They had all the pasta I wanted and every cheesecake man ever made there waiting on me. It was good.
Wow, man. I know that was. I can't even imagine, brother.
That's there my life, man.
I'm so happy for you, though, man. For real, like for real, for real. And
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's just a blessing that you here with us on the outside. You know what I mean? And you're giving back and you're doing these great things and you're keeping in touch with your brothers in there. I know that gives them hope. You know, that just shows that God is real, man. And that's all some people need. You know.
Absolutely, man. Somebody did it for me, man, and that's just the way I'm built, man. That's the way I'm wired, man. Yeah, I mean, I want for myself what I want for my brother. I want for myself what I want for my sister, man. Yeah, I mean, I wish everybody was like that, but you know, we're a work in progress every day, man.
Yes,
we're a work in progress every day, man.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I was gonna ask you one last question, and tell me how you feel about this. So I know they compensated you, right?
Right. Yeah.
Is that
yes?
Is there okay? Rightfully so, because now you know you don't have to worry about how you gonna take care of yourself, take care of your family. They enabled you to do things that you can do without a struggle, right?
Right.
But is there times, or was there a time at one point where it was kind of like a bittersweet type of thing where it's like, how dare them try to equate money to the time and the life that they took away from me and my family. Like, did you ever have mixed feelings about that?
Absolutely. You can't listen. You know, I've gone through, the civil part of this thing. Uh, the judge wanted to have a conversation with me, and he said, I want to talk to Tony. I don't want to talk to attorneys. I don't want to talk to other people. So I want to talk to Tony. And when he came, I said, Your Honor, listen, you can't put a price. Listen, first and foremost,
You cutting your face off a little bit.
oh, I'm sorry.
There you
So
go.
the judge wanted to talk to me. I said, Judge, listen, no amount of money, man. You can't put a price. I know me, man. I'll never put I'm worth everything. Can't put no price. I said, listen, I lost my mother during that time in 1998. My first 7 years in, I lost my mother. The lady was everything. The lady gave me I said, if you can bring my mother back, I'll walk out your courtroom right now. You won't have to pay me a dime. I don't want a dime. Bring my mother. You can't do that. You know what I mean? That's first and foremost. And second, I mean, how much, man, it wasn't about money to me.
Right.
My case is the biggest case probably ever in Philadelphia. That's what it appeared like, even today.
Right.
With everything that's going on in regards to what happened to me. My case, the biggest case around here. I changed 5 different laws in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania because of what happened to me. And I could have went to trial. I could have went and won. Literally, my case was open and stuff. Nobody ever got paid for me. And I got the biggest settlement ever in the city of Philadelphia. I could have went to trial and won $100 million. I literally could have did that.
Wow.
I could have went in there and won $100 million. It wasn't about that for me.
Yeah.
I wanted them to assure me my granddaughter, Ramira, who just turned 6 years old 2 months ago.
There we go. There we go.
My granddaughter, Ramira, who just turned 6 years old 2 months ago. I wanted them to assure me 11 years from now, when she's 16, her fate won't be what mine was. I wanted them to assure me my grandson, who just turned 3 years old last month, 13 years from now, when he's 16, his fate won't be what his grandfather's was. And even more, not me, every man in Philadelphia. I wanted them to assure me that their child won't have to go through what I went through. You understand me?
Yeah.
That's why I settled my case, man. Yeah, I mean, money is a necessity, man. We needed to live, man. Yeah. Hey, listen, man, I'm a homebody. Hey, man, I'm rich with my family. My family's all I need, man, in this world, man. I don't need nothing else. All I need is my family, man.
Absolutely.
Keep loving me the way they love me, and I'm going to love them, the way I love them every day. That's all I need, man. That's all I need right there.
Absolutely, man. Well said, man. Very well said. But listen, brother, I appreciate your time, man, coming on here, taking the time out. I know you're traveling, you're en route, so I really appreciate that. We made it happen.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, everybody needs to know your story. They need to hear your story. Just keep being a beacon of light, a beacon of hope for them brothers that's on there. People who may go through that someday. Or just anybody that you can help, man, and be a blessing to. God bless you and thank you for being you. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, just hearing your story, I'm pretty sure it's gonna help some people fight through some things. Even like you said early on, even if it's not dealing with being in the penitentiary, it's just anything in life. Anything's possible, man.
Anything's
don't give up on yourself. You don't give up on others.
Ever, man, ever. If you don't believe in you, I expect somebody else to believe in you as well, man. Hey, man, this was just another great opportunity, man. I give praise to God first. This just showed, man, you second, man, for this opportunity, man, and this platform, man, for me to share my story, man, to try to inspire somebody, instill some hope in somebody. to always believe in themselves. You just said it, never give up, man. Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate, you know, all the opportunities I'm given, man. None more than opportunity such as this. Yeah, having the opportunity to be on your show. Yeah, I mean, which I'm sure has, yeah, I mean, thousands, if not millions of followers, man. And everybody that tuned in, man. God bless you, man, and thank you for the time, man. Yeah, I
Absolutely,
mean, be
brother.
safe, please. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna lead the show out with a video clip of your release day and all that went on. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna celebrate that, and you're
My
gonna keep
man,
living on and doing your
man.
thing, brother. And I'm gonna keep an eye out for
Always,
that book. Tell everybody where
always.
they can follow you on Instagram and all that.
Hey, man, you can follow me on Instagram at Anthony Wright, my name, underscore official. Again, that's Anthony Wright, underscore official. Yeah, I mean, you'll know where I'm at. If I'm in a town near you speaking or doing some work or giving back, you can find out when the book is coming out, my first biography, the Tony Wright story, Little Tale. And stay tuned, man. The documentary, man, the movie, the film, man, is for BT, Netflix, and all that. Yeah, I mean, should be coming in 2022, man. We working, trying to teach the truth to the youth and
Definitely.
educate the masses of the world. Yeah,
And
man.
they can also follow you on your website too. Drop that.
Yeah, and the right Anthony, the right Anthony, right at gmail.com. You know
There
what I
it
mean?
is. Boom.
So,
And I'm gonna have
yeah.
everything down in the description, all the links, so they have easy access to that. Brother, I appreciate you, man. I really, really appreciate you lending me your time and telling your story. God bless you.
Wow. Likewise, man. I appreciate you even more, man. I appreciate you even more, man. 1,000 times, man. God bless you, man.
Yes,
Stay
sir.
safe, please, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Uh,
You too,
uh,
man. I'm gonna be
uh,
in touch with you in your DMs, man.
all right, man. I look forward to it, man. Can't wait to see you in there, man.
For sure.
All right,
For sure.
I'm following you too, bro. So, every move you make, man, I'm right there, man.
I
Support, man.
appreciate that. I
Love is
appreciate
love,
that.
man. Love is love, man.
Absolutely.
Love is
Hey, and
love,
when
man.
I get my national TV show, I'm having you back on.
Hey, man, I can't wait, man. Yeah, I mean, I'll run there, man.
Yes, sir. We're gonna
I'll run there, man.
celebrate.
My man, I appreciate it, man.
All right, man. You
Thank
have
you,
a
man.
safe flight.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it, man.
All right.
God bless.
Yes, indeed. Hey, y'all. What a great interview. Anthony Wright, man. Phenomenal story. Phenomenal story. Ah, man. I can't even imagine. But listen, man. That's just God. You see the spirit. You see the life in that man. After 25 years. After 25 years of being away from his family, out of society, man, he snapped back right into society like it was nothing, like he's been here. And that's just God, man. That's the grace of God. That, just being strong, staying strong, and just being selfless, thinking about others and not himself while he's in there. Man, that's just wow. He's being recognized, y'all. Sean King, if y'all follow him on Instagram, Sean King's talking about him right now. If you go to his feed, you can see the post. I'm telling you, y'all be on the lookout for the biography. Be on the lookout for the documentary. Stories like this need to be heard. Stories like this need to be heard. I don't ask anybody hardly ever to share any of my episodes, but this episode, share this episode, because there's so many people out there that's still behind those walls that are innocent, man, and they need to be released. They need to be free. They need to be put back into society with their families. Stories like this need to be heard. I'm saying it again. Stories like this need to be heard. Share this episode. Tag somebody. Share this episode. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in, man. It's stuff like this that I want to share with you guys. All right? I'm telling you. Kicking with KoolKard, y'all, every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got you. You never know who I might have. All right, we're going to kick it out of here until next week. Got a little nice outro. We're going to share his release date and just, his release day and just see the joy that unfolded. That was all the love that was there for this man when he finally got out. Until next time, y'all. Next week, I'm going to see you. KoolKard. Appreciate y'all. We just kicking it.